Taiwan, a land of 24 million people which is only recognized as an independent nation by 17 other countries worldwide. At a distance of only 1.2 miles from China at its closest point, Taiwan remains a light in the fight against the coronavirus. Taiwan sees itself as, well, Taiwan. Taiwan lives separate from China's communist rule of law, and the country refuses to unite together with China. You may have heard in the past about companies getting told by China that they will not sell their products if they recognize Taiwan at all. This is where the dilemma starts. Taiwan's first COVID-19 case came on January 21st. On January 22nd, the WHO held an emergency meeting to address international concerns about the coronavirus. Guess where Taiwan officials were? If you said not there, you're correct. At the beginning of an international pandemic, the WHO chose to refuse Taiwan's officials from attending the meeting. Taiwan began preparing for COVID-19 December 31st. When Taiwan had received information stating that a virus with pandemic-like potential started in Wuhan, Taiwan immediately started screening passengers coming from Wuhan. Fast forward 3 months, and Taiwan has now closed its borders to foreigners and even those transiting through Taiwan. To date, Taiwan has had a total of 385 confirmed COVID-19 cases. As of this video on April 11th, 2020, Taiwan had 3 confirmed cases today, all of which were imported. You might ask, how can they maintain these low numbers being so close to China? To answer that, let's look at how Western nations have handled the coronavirus. To date, the USA has over 500,000 cases, Spain has over 161,000 cases, Italy has over 147,000 cases, etc., etc. Then in 6th place in our race to the most cases comes China with almost 82,000 cases. What? A country with a population of 1.386 billion people only has 82,000 cases? In contrast, America's population is 328.2 million people, which is 23% of the population of China. Does something seem off to you?
The rest of the world would be access the expertise of China, and they've done this at scale. They know what they're doing, and they're really good at it, and they're really keen to help. If I had COVID-19, I want to be treated in China.
Remember, December 31st, Taiwan immediately started screening passengers from Wuhan. Taking no precautions, Taiwan immediately went after the source and set huge barriers in the way to protect itself. Knowing that it does not have international recognition, Taiwan chose to do what many other Asian countries do in the face of a dilemma stemming from China. They intensified their security and they went through every precaution that they could to stop the flow of the dilemma before it started. Taiwan was succeeding. They thwarted the coronavirus from entering Taiwan until January 21st, a day before the WHO emergency meeting. With little to no international recognition, Taiwan made multiple attempts at attending the WHO meeting, all of which failed. This sparked outrage in Taiwan. We're in the beginning of a pandemic, and the World Health Organization is going to bar the country from attending due to its strained relations with China? This seems like a recipe for death. Left out of the meetings, Taiwan decided to uphold its coronavirus standard checks and began to slowly intensify security in the country pertaining to international travel until March, when it completely shut its borders. So why is Taiwan banned from attending the WHO meetings? Actually, up until 2016, Taiwan was able to attend the WHO meetings, but building pressure put on by China forced the WHO to exclude Taiwan from being in any part of the WHO. Interestingly enough, 2016 was the year that the DPP Tsai Ing-wen won the presidential nomination in Taiwan. The DPP is Taiwan's Democratic Progressive Party, which is a Taiwanese nationalist party advocating against unification with China, which China has yearned after for so long. You may have noticed companies like Apple, Audi, Disney, Delta Airlines, NBA, Viacom, and many more curtailing along the lines of China's request to exclude Taiwan and Hong Kong in the past. Yet, during an international pandemic, the World Health Organization is bowing down to China? This seems absurd, but this has been exactly what they have done. In fact, in a recent interview you may have heard about, a WHO official totally diverts a question that pertains to Taiwan's handling of COVID-19.
Will the WHO consider Taiwan's membership? Hello?
I'm sorry, I can't hear. I couldn't hear your question.
Okay, yeah. Let me repeat the question.
No, that's okay. Let's move to another one then.
Right, because I'm actually curious on talking about Taiwan as well, on Taiwan's case.
We decided to give Dr. Alward another call to follow up.
And I just want to see if you can comment a bit on how Taiwan has done so far in terms of containing the virus.
Well, we've already talked about China, and when you look across all the different areas of China, they've actually all done quite a good job. So with that, I'd like to thank you very much for inviting us to participate, and good luck as you go forward with the battle in Hong Kong.
Let's move to April 9th. Just 2 days ago, BBC writes, WHO Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said he had been subjected to racist comments and death threats for months. Did this happen? Probably. Tsai Ing-wen goes on record to state that Taiwan is opposed to discrimination, but truly, can any president stop its citizens from being annoyed with being excluded from the world's largest health organization during the middle of a pandemic? Tsai Ing-wen states, for years, we have been excluded from international organizations and we know better than anyone else what it feels like to be discriminated against and isolated. If Director General Tedros could withstand pressure from China and come to Taiwan to see Taiwan's efforts to fight COVID-19 for himself, he would be able to see that the Taiwanese people are the true victims of unfair treatment. Has President Tsai Ing-wen stated any racially charged language at Tedros? Looking for information about racist remarks by Tsai, nothing appears. With an increasing amount of pressure put on the WHO due to Taiwan's exclusion during the middle of a pandemic, it seems more likely that the WHO's diversive behaviors regarding Taiwan is a straw man to downplay the adulation the WHO exhibited throughout the pandemic in China. As the world turns its eyes to the WHO for their covering up of real-life numbers in China and or their willingness to subside to China's standards of reporting of the virus, the WHO is facing intense pressure to divert the issues at hand. So is Taiwan a scapegoat for the WHO right now? Yeah. When a country like Taiwan could have modeled coronavirus countermeasures that would have saved thousands of lives globally, the WHO bowing down to the Chinese communist pressure leaves blood on the hands of the WHO. And with increasing pressure being placed on Tedros and the WHO, why doesn't the world just start recognizing Taiwan in this battle? Despite the WHO's efforts to ignore Taiwan, Taiwan has refused to back down and is so far succeeding in the fight against the virus. Having only 385 cases, Taiwan has turned to helping other countries, yet the world still stands against it. Taiwan doesn't need the WHO, but the WHO and the world could definitely benefit from Taiwan. Thank you for watching.